The morning sun rose over the golden wheat fields of New Busan, painting the sky in soft orange and pink colors. The air smelled fresh and clean, filled with the sweet scent of growing crops. Children ran through the fields laughing as they chased butterflies between the tall stalks of grain. Dr. Kim So-young walked slowly through her research fields, checking each plant with careful eyes. She had spent 15 years on this world, turning empty soil into the most productive farms in human space. The wheat here grew taller and stronger than anywhere else. Each harvest could feed millions of people across dozens of worlds. Another perfect day, she said to herself, touching a golden grain head. The plants were almost ready for harvest. In 2 weeks, the massive farming machines would roll through these fields, gathering enough food to last a year. Captain Park Ji-woo stood on the observation deck of the Colony Defense Center, watching the peaceful scene below. 2 million people lived on New Busan now. They had schools, hospitals, parks, and libraries. Families had built homes with gardens full of earth flowers. Old people sat on porches telling stories to their grandchildren. "Sir, the morning patrol is ready," said Lieutenant Lee Min-jun, walking up behind him. Park nodded. "Good. Take the usual route around the outer settlements. Check on the farming equipment in Sector 7. The Choi family reported some problems with their irrigation system yesterday." The patrol flew over small farming towns scattered across the planet. Each town had neat houses with red roofs, surrounded by fields of different crops. Some grew wheat, others corn or vegetables. The farmers waved as the patrol craft passed overhead. In space above the planet, Commander Choi Min-ho sat in the pilot seat of his small patrol ship, the TDF Incheon. His job was to watch the empty space around New Busan, making sure no ships came too close without permission. It was quiet work. Most days he saw nothing but stars and empty space. "Control, this is Incheon," he spoke into his radio. "Beginning outer system patrol. All clear so far." "Copy that, Incheon," came the voice from the planet below. "Have a quiet day up there," Choi smiled. Quiet days were good days. He had been doing this job for 3 years and nothing bad had ever happened. New Busan was far from the main space routes. Most aliens did not even know humans had a colony here. Down in the colony's main town, people went about their normal daily life. Lee Jae-min opened his bakery, filling the air with the smell of fresh bread. Park Hae-jin taught her class of young children how to read. The children sat in a circle, reading stories about brave heroes in faraway places. "Miss Park," asked a little girl named Kim Yuna, "are there really monsters in space?" Park Hae-jin smiled gently. "No, dear. Space is mostly empty, and we have brave people like Captain Park and Commander Choi watching over us." In the Colony Council building, Dr. Kim So-young presented her latest research to the other leaders. The room was filled with farmers, teachers, doctors, and engineers. These people had left Earth to build something new and peaceful. "The harvest this year will be our best ever," Dr. Kim said, showing pictures on a large screen. "We can ship food to 37 different worlds. The people on those worlds depend on us." "That's wonderful news," said Mayor Han Dong-ho. "Our families came here to build a better life. Seeing our children grow up in peace with plenty of food and clean air, this is what we dreamed of." The meeting ended with smiles and handshakes. Everyone felt proud of what they had built. New Busan was proof that humans could create something beautiful and peaceful, even in the vast emptiness of space. That evening, families gathered for dinner. The Lee family sat around their table talking about their day. 10-year-old Lee Jun-ho told his parents about the new flowers blooming in the school garden. His sister, Lee So-jin, shared what she had learned in her science class. "Dad," Jun-ho asked, "will we always live here? Will nothing bad ever happen?" His father, Lee Sang-woo, reached over and ruffled his son's hair. "We built this place to be safe, son, far from wars and fighting. Here we can live in peace." In space, Commander Choi finished his patrol and prepared to return to the planet. His sensors showed nothing unusual. The asteroid belt at the edge of the system looked the same as always. A few rocks floating in empty space, nothing more. But as he turned his ship toward home, something caught his eye. A small blip on his screen just for a moment. When he looked closer, it was gone. "Probably just space dust," he said to himself. But something felt wrong. In 3 years of patrolling, he had learned to trust his feelings. He turned his ship back toward the asteroids and flew closer. His sensors picked up traces of metal, but that was normal. Asteroids often contained metals. Still, the feeling of wrongness grew stronger. Control, this is Incheon, he called. I'm detecting some unusual readings near the asteroid belt. Requesting permission to investigate. Copy, Incheon. Take a look, but don't go too far from the colony. As Choi flew deeper into the asteroid field, his sensors began picking up more signals. Something was out there hiding among the rocks. Something big. Back on New Busan, Dr. Kim So-young walked home from her laboratory. The street lights glowed softly, and she could hear music coming from the town square. Young people were dancing, celebrating another successful day. The sound of their laughter filled the air. She stopped to watch them for a moment. These young people had never known war or fear. They had grown up believing the universe was a safe place where hard work and kindness could create a good life. Enjoy this peace, she whispered. It's what we all worked so hard to build. In his ship among the asteroids, Commander Choi stared at his screens in growing alarm. The readings were getting stronger. Whatever was out there, it was big. Very big, and it was moving toward New Busan. He reached for his radio to warn the colony, but before he could speak, something massive emerged from behind a large asteroid. A ship unlike anything he had ever seen, dark and strange-looking. Then another appeared, and another. His blood ran cold as he realized what he was seeing. An enemy fleet hiding in their asteroid belt preparing to attack their peaceful world. Control, he shouted into his radio. Enemy ships. Large fleet hiding in the asteroids. They're moving toward the planet. But even as he spoke, he knew it might already be too late. The attack came with the sunrise. Commander Choi Min-ho watched in horror as massive alien warships dropped out of hyperspace directly above New Busan's cities. The ships were enormous, dark, and curved like the shells of giant insects. They moved in perfect formation, blocking out the morning sun. On the planet below, people were just waking up. Children got ready for school. Parents prepared breakfast. Farmers walked to their fields, ready for another day of peaceful work. Then the sky turned red. Captain Park Ji-woo was drinking his morning tea when the alarms started screaming. He ran to the defense center's main screen and saw the enemy fleet hanging in the sky above them like dark clouds. Get me a count, he shouted to his officers. 50 ships, sir, came the reply. Maybe more. They're bigger than anything in our files. Park's hands shook as he reached for the emergency communication system. New Busan had no real weapons, only small defense shields meant to stop asteroids and space debris. Against a fleet like this, they had no chance. All citizens, this is Captain Park. His voice echoed across the colony. We are under attack. Move to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill. But the words were barely finished when the first energy beams struck the planet. The alien weapons were terrible to see. Bright blue light poured down from the sky like deadly rain. Where the beams touched the ground, everything simply disappeared. Buildings, trees, people, all turned to dust in seconds. Dr. Kim So-young was in her laboratory when the attack began. Through her window, she watched her beautiful wheat fields catch fire. 15 years of careful work burned away in minutes. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was seeing the people. Families ran through the streets trying to reach the emergency shelters. But the alien ships targeted the shelters first. Blue fire fell from the sky, and the places where people thought they would be safe became their graves. No, 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 Dr. Kim whispered, tears running down her face. She grabbed her communication device and sent a desperate message to Earth. This is New Busan Colony. We are under attack. Unknown alien fleet. They're killing everyone. Please, someone help us. Captain Park Ji-woo died trying to save his people. He stayed at the defense center, coordinating evacuations even as enemy fire closed in around him. His last words, broadcast to any ship that could hear, were simple. Remember us. Tell them we tried. The blue fire took him a moment later. In space, Commander Choi watched the slaughter from his hiding place among the asteroids. His small ship had good sensors, and they recorded everything. Every death. Every building destroyed. Every family wiped out in seconds. The aliens showed no mercy. They did not target military bases first. New Busan barely had any military. They targeted schools, hospitals, houses where families lived. Why? Choi whispered. We never hurt anyone. We just wanted to farm. His ship's computer gave him the horrible answer. Population readings dropped rapidly. 2 million people. 1 million. 500,000. The numbers fell like stones. In her underground laboratory, Dr. Kim worked frantically to save something, anything, from the destruction above. She copied all her research onto data storage devices and loaded them into an emergency message probe. The building shook as explosions got closer. Dust fell from the ceiling. She could hear the terrible sound of the alien weapons getting nearer. "My name is Dr. Kim So-young," she spoke into the probe's recorder. The aliens came without warning. No demands. No communication. They just started killing. We were farmers, not soldiers. We grew food for hungry people across human space. Another explosion much closer. The lights flickered. "If anyone finds this, please know that we were good people. We loved our children. We helped each other. We hurt no one." Her voice broke. "Please don't let them forget us." She launched the probe just as the roof caved in. The massacre took 6 hours. When it was over, New Busan looked like a dead world. The cities were gone, replaced by fields of black glass. The farms were burned. The rivers ran with ash instead of clear water. Commander Choi's sensors found no life signs on the planet below. 2 million people gone. The only sounds were the cracking of cooling glass and the wind blowing through empty ruins. The alien fleet gathered above the dead world. Choi watched them through his ship's cameras, recording their strange symbols and designs. These were not ships built for exploration or trade. They were built only for killing. One of the enemy ships was bigger than the others, clearly the command vessel. As Choi watched, it broadcast a message in several alien languages. His computer could not translate the words, but the meaning was clear. A message of victory. The alien commander was celebrating the murder of innocent people. Then the fleet moved away, disappearing into hyperspace as quickly as they had come. They left behind only death and silence. Choi waited in the asteroids for 3 hours, making sure the aliens were really gone. Then he flew down to the planet, hoping against hope that someone had survived. He found nothing, not one person, not one building still standing. Even the emergency shelters had been completely destroyed. The aliens had been thorough. In what had once been Dr. Kim's research station, he found her message probe, damaged but still working. He loaded it into his ship along with all the sensor data he had recorded. "I'm sorry," he said to the empty world. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you." His ship was damaged from hiding among the asteroids, but it could still fly. He set course for Earth, carrying the terrible news. It would take 3 days to reach the nearest human world with a communication relay. 3 days to tell humanity that 2 million innocent people had been murdered without reason. As his ship limped through hyperspace, Choi played Dr. Kim's message over and over, her voice full of sadness and fear, asking people to remember that the colonists had been good people who hurt no one. "They will remember," he promised the recording. "I'll make sure they remember." Behind him, New Busan grew smaller in his ship's rear cameras. The planet that had been humanity's greatest success now looked like a dead rock floating in empty space. But Choi knew something the aliens did not know. He knew what humans did when their families were hurt. He had read the history books. He knew about the wars Earth had fought when peaceful people were threatened. The aliens thought they had sent a message of fear. They had no idea what kind of message they would get in return. Commander Choi Min-ho's damaged ship arrived at Luna Station 3 days after the massacre. His hands shook as he sent the emergency signal that would change everything. Within an hour, every leader in the Terran Federation was watching the recordings he had made. They saw the alien fleet appear above New Busan. They heard Dr. Kim So-young's final message. They watched 2 million innocent people die in 6 hours. Admiral Lee Dae-ho stood in the Federation Council chamber, watching the footage for the 10th time. His sister had lived on New Busan with her husband and 2 children. Now they were all gone, turned to ash by alien weapons. "Show me that part again," he said quietly. The recording played again. Children running through the streets, trying to reach safety that would never come. Families holding each other as blue fire fell from the sky. The emergency shelters exploding, taking thousands of lives in each blast. President Kang Hyun-woo watched the footage with tears in his eyes. He had visited New Busan twice, walking through those wheat fields, meeting those happy families. Now it was all gone. "How many?" he asked. 2,300,000, replied General Oh Seung-hwan. "Complete population loss. No survivors found." The council chamber fell silent. Nobody spoke for several minutes. The weight of those numbers pressed down on everyone in the room. Finally, Admiral Lee stood up. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with controlled anger. "For 300 years we have been the peaceful ones," he said. "When other species fought wars, we built gardens. When they conquered planets, we helped refugees. When they showed us hate, we answered with kindness." He looked around the room at the other leaders. And what did our peace get us? 2 million dead farmers, children murdered in their beds, families erased from existence because some alien commander decided humans were too weak to fight back. President Kang leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" "I'm suggesting that we show them exactly how wrong they are." The president activated the emergency session protocols. Within 6 hours, every human world had representatives connected to the meeting. Colony governors, fleet commanders, and military leaders appeared on screens around the chamber. Commander Choi gave his report to the full assembly. His voice was steady as he described the attack, but everyone could see the pain in his eyes. "They came without warning," he said. "No demands, no communication, they just started killing. When it was over, they broadcast what sounded like a victory message and left." "Did you identify their species?" asked Colonel Park Sun-ho from the Frontier Worlds. "Unknown species. Our computers have no record of ships like theirs, but we have detailed scans of their technology and weapon signatures." Captain Nam Yoo-jin, the Federation's top intelligence officer, had been working around the clock since Choi's return. She stood up to address the assembly. "We've analyzed the alien ship designs and cross-referenced them with every known species in our databases," she reported. "The closest match is something called the Veltar Empire. They're mentioned in a few alien trading records as aggressive expansionists." "What do we know about them?" President Kang asked. "Very little. They're based somewhere in the spiral arm sectors. They've conquered at least 12 other species in the past century. Every species they encounter either submits to their rule or gets wiped out." Admiral Lee stepped forward again. "It sounds like they made a mistake with us." General Oh Seung-hwan activated a holographic display showing the Federation's military assets. "We have active fleets totaling 50,000 ships of various classes. If we activate reserves and emergency construction, we could field perhaps 100,000 ships within a year." "Not enough," Lee said flatly. "These aliens think we're weak. They think we'll negotiate or run away. We need to show them that they picked the wrong species to murder." "What do you propose, Wire?" asked the president. Lee's answer shocked everyone in the room. 500,000 ships. The largest military fleet in galactic history. Every shipyard, every factory, every resource we have gets turned toward one goal: overwhelming force. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some leaders called it impossible, others worried about the cost. But slowly, as they watched the New Busan footage again, voices began to change. "My world will provide whatever resources you need," said Governor Kim Tae-ho from the mining colonies. "Our shipyards are at your disposal," added Director Lee Mi-young from the industrial worlds. One by one, every human world pledged their support. President Kang called for a formal vote. The measure passed unanimously. Within days, the largest industrial mobilization in human history began. Every shipyard in human space started building warships. Civilian factories were converted to produce weapons and armor. Mining operations worked around the clock to provide raw materials. The orbital shipyards around Earth, which had been building peaceful cargo vessels, switched to constructing battleships. Mars converted its terraform equipment factories to produce weapon systems. The asteroid belt mining stations focused entirely on gathering metals for ship construction. Captain Nam Yoo-jin led teams of intelligence agents to gather information about the Veltar Empire. They questioned alien traders, studied ancient records, and searched through captured enemy communications. "We're getting a clearer picture," she reported to Admiral Lee. "The Veltar see themselves as the rightful rulers of this galaxy. They classify other species as either useful servants or obstacles to remove." "Which category did they put us in?" Lee asked. "Obstacles. They call humans soft prey, too peaceful to be a real threat. The attack on New Busan was meant to be a demonstration to other species." Lee's jaw tightened. "A demonstration? They murdered 2 million people to make a point." The search for the Veltar homeworld became the Federation's top priority. Long-range scout ships probed deep into unknown space, following the trail left by the alien fleet. Months passed. Human shipyards worked without stopping. The fleet grew larger every day. 100,000 ships, 200,000, 300,000. Admiral Lee stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the TDFS New Busan. Around him, space was filled with human warships as far as the eye could see. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and massive dreadnoughts. Fleet status report, he ordered. 497,000 ships assembled and ready, sir, came the reply. Final squadrons will be ready within the week. Lee nodded. Soon they would have their 500,000 ships. The largest military force ever assembled by any species in galactic history. But it was not about the numbers, he realized. It was about the message. Send word to all fleet commanders, he said. When we find the Veltar, we will give them the same mercy they showed our farmers. Captain Nam Yu-jin's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, we've found them. Long-range scouts have located the Veltar home system. Transmitting coordinates now. Lee looked out at the vast fleet surrounding his ship. 500,000 warships, all built for one purpose, to show the Veltar Empire that humanity was anything but soft prey. Signal all ships, he ordered. Prepare for hyperspace jump. The time for peace was over. The human fleet moved through Veltar space like a storm of metal and fire. Admiral Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the TDFS New Busan, watching his tactical displays. 500,000 human warships spread across dozens of star systems, hunting down every Veltar military base they could find. Unlike their enemies, the humans gave warnings. Attention Veltar military forces, Lee broadcast on all frequencies. You have 1 hour to evacuate all civilian personnel from this system. We are here for your military, not your people. Captain Lim Jae-sung commanded the stealth reconnaissance ship TDF Seoul. His job was to scout ahead of the main fleet, finding Veltar bases and counting their defenses. Admiral, he reported over secure communication, I'm seeing massive confusion in their ranks. Their commanders keep asking each other how humans assembled so many ships so quickly. Lee almost smiled. The Veltar had thought humans were weak and peaceful. They never imagined that peaceful people could become the most dangerous enemies when their families were murdered. The first major battle happened at a Veltar military base called Mordeth Station. The alien defenders had 60 warships and thought they could easily defeat any human force. They were wrong. 3,000 human ships dropped out of hyperspace around the station. The Veltar commander sent a message demanding surrender, still believing humans would run away from a fight. Instead, Admiral Lee sent back a simple reply. You killed our farmers. Now face our soldiers. The battle lasted 27 minutes. The Veltar ships were fast and had powerful weapons, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Human ships moved in perfect coordination, covering each other and focusing their fire. Where one Veltar ship faced 3 or 4 enemies, it died quickly. When the station finally exploded, Lee broadcast another message to any surviving Veltar forces. This is what happens to those who murder innocents. Tell your leaders, we are coming for all of you. Major An Hee-won led the marine boarding teams that captured damaged Veltar ships. Her soldiers were specially trained for fighting inside enemy vessels, and they showed the same efficiency as the fleet. The aliens are terrified, she reported after capturing a Veltar cruiser. Their crew kept asking why humans were so good at warfare. They thought we were supposed to be peaceful farmers and traders. The captured Veltar officers provided valuable intelligence. Under interrogation, they revealed the location of their homeworld and the identity of Fleet Commander Kethmore, the alien who had personally ordered the New Busan massacre. Kethmore is considered a hero among their people, Major An reported. He's famous for destroying weak species. New Busan was supposed to be an easy target that would terrify other aliens into surrendering to the Veltar Empire. Lee studied the captured alien's photograph on his screen. Kethmore looked like a giant lizard wearing military decorations. This creature had ordered the death of Lee's sister and her children, along with 2 million other innocent people. Where is he now? Lee asked, fleeing toward their homeworld with what's left of their main fleet. About 800 ships. Lee activated the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Lee. We have located Fleet Commander Kethmore, the alien responsible for the New Busan massacre. He is running toward his homeworld with their remaining military forces. We will pursue and ensure he faces justice. The human fleet changed course following the Veltar survivors deeper into their territory. Along the way, they encountered more alien military bases. Each one was given the same choice: evacuate civilians and surrender or be destroyed. Most chose to fight. None survived. Captain Park Sung-min commanded a squadron of destroyers that specialized in hunting down fleeing Veltar ships. His forces moved ahead of the main fleet, making sure no enemy vessel escaped to warn others. These aliens are starting to panic, he reported. We're intercepting their communications. They're calling humans demons and unstoppable killers. They can't understand how we became so dangerous so quickly. The answer was simple, Lee thought. Humans were not naturally violent, but they were very good at learning. And when someone hurt their families, they learned to be very good at fighting back. The fleet encountered civilian Veltar ships several times during their advance. Each time, the humans let them pass unharmed. This confused the aliens even more. Why would these demons spare civilians when the Veltar had shown no such mercy? It's because we're not like you, Lee said during one communication with a fleeing civilian ship. We remember the difference between soldiers and innocents even when you don't. As the human fleet approached the Veltar home system, they found it heavily defended. Thousands of alien warships waited in formation around their homeworld, preparing for the largest space battle in galactic history. Captain Nam Yu-jin's intelligence teams had been monitoring Veltar communications throughout the campaign. She brought disturbing news to Admiral Lee. They're calling for help from their allied species, she reported. Messages are going out across the galaxy asking other empires to join them against humanity. Any responses? Lee asked. A few. But most alien governments are staying neutral. Some are even cutting diplomatic ties with the Veltar Empire. They're afraid of what might happen to them if they side with the people who massacred New Busan. Lee nodded. Good. Let other species see what happened to those who murdered human civilians. Let them understand that humanity's peaceful nature was a choice, not a weakness. The human fleet took position at the edge of the Veltar home system. 500,000 ships formed a sphere around the alien homeworld, blocking every possible escape route. Admiral Lee opened a communication channel to the planet below. Attention Veltar Empire. This is Admiral Lee Daeho of the Terran Federation. 6 months ago, your fleet commander, Kethmore, attacked our peaceful colony of New Busan. He murdered 2 million innocent civilians without warning or provocation. The channel crackled with static as the message reached the alien homeworld. You thought humans were weak. You thought we would not fight back. You were wrong. We are here to collect justice for our dead. Surrender Fleet Commander Kethmore and his accomplices, or we will take them by force. The response came from the Veltar leader himself, transmitted on all frequencies so every alien in the galaxy could hear. Humans, you were meant to be our servants, not our enemies. Your species should have submitted when we destroyed your colony. We will never surrender our heroes to you. Lee looked around his bridge at the officers who had worked so hard to build this fleet and plan this campaign. These people had left their families and peaceful lives to seek justice for the murdered colonists. Then you choose war, Lee replied calmly. You will receive the same mercy you showed our children. He closed the communication channel and turned to his fleet commanders. All ships, battle stations. Today we end this. The siege of the Veltar homeworld began at dawn. 500,000 human warships surrounded the alien planet like a metal wall in space. Never before had so many ships gathered in one place. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying, a demonstration of what humans could accomplish when they chose war over peace. Admiral Lee Daeho gave the aliens one final chance. Fleet Commander Kethmore, he broadcast to the planet below. You murdered 2 million innocent people on New Busan. You killed farmers, teachers, children, and families who had never hurt anyone. If you surrender yourself for trial, we will spare your military forces. The answer came back quickly, filled with alien anger and pride. Never. The Veltar Empire does not bow to inferior species. We will fight until every human ship is destroyed. Lee had expected this response. The Veltar were too proud to admit they had made a terrible mistake by attacking peaceful humans. Very well, Lee said quietly. Begin the siege. Captain Bae Dong-wook commanded the siege operations. His job was to destroy every Veltar military asset in the system while avoiding civilian targets. It was precise, careful work that required skill and patience. Target their orbital defense platforms first, he ordered. Then their shipyards and military bases. Leave their cities alone. We're here for justice, not revenge. The human attack began with surgical precision. Thousands of ships focused their weapons on military targets only. Orbital weapons platforms exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Alien shipyards that had built vessels for conquest became clouds of debris. The Veltar fleet tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered 500 to 1. Their ships were fast and their weapons powerful, but numbers and coordination won battles. Human forces surrounded every alien vessel, destroying them with overwhelming firepower. Major An Hee-wan watched the battle from the Marine command ship. Her teams were ready to board any alien vessels that surrendered, but so far none had asked for mercy. They're fighting to the death, she reported to Admiral Lee. Every ship, every platform, every base. They won't surrender even when they're obviously beaten. Then they choose their fate, Lee replied sadly. He took no joy in this destruction, but the Veltar had made their choice when they murdered innocent colonists. On the planet below, civilian Veltar watched in terror as their mighty military was destroyed. Many tried to contact the human fleet, asking for peace talks or offering to surrender their leaders. Ambassador Cho Yun-ji handled these communications. She had been a diplomat for 20 years, always working to solve problems with words instead of weapons. But some problems could only be solved with force. Tell your leaders to surrender, Fleet Commander Kethmore, she told each group of civilians who called. Give us the ones responsible for the New Busan massacre, and this ends. But the Veltar military refused every offer. Their pride was more important than the lives of their own soldiers. The siege continued for 3 months. Every day, human forces destroyed more Veltar military targets. The alien fleet shrank from thousands of ships to hundreds, then to dozens. Captain Lim Jae-sung's reconnaissance teams monitored all communications in the system. He brought regular reports to Admiral Lee about the growing panic among alien leaders. They're sending desperate messages to other species, he reported, begging for help, promising anything to anyone who will fight the humans. But nobody is answering their calls. Lee was not surprised. Other alien governments had seen what happened to those who attacked human civilians. None of them wanted to share the Veltar Empire's fate. As the siege dragged on, some humans began to question whether they had gone too far. The destruction was massive. An entire alien military machine reduced to scrap metal floating in space. Sir, said Commander Kim Do-hyun, some of our own people are asking if we're becoming as bad as the Veltar. All this destruction. Lee looked out at the alien homeworld where millions of civilian Veltar lived in fear. He thought of New Busan, where millions of human civilians had died without warning. The difference, he said slowly, is that we gave them choices. We warned their civilians. We offered mercy to anyone who would surrender the ones responsible for murdering our people. They chose pride over peace. Finally, as the last Veltar military bases burned around their planet, Fleet Commander Kethmore made his move. The alien leader tried to escape in his personal flagship, hoping to slip past the human blockade under cover of a debris field. He almost succeeded. His ship was fast and well-armed, and he had chosen his escape route cleverly. But Admiral Lee had been watching for exactly this attempt. The TDFS New Busan intercepted Kethmore's ship at the edge of the system. The alien commander found himself facing the flagship named after the colony he had destroyed. Kethmore, Admiral Lee broadcast to the fleeing ship. I am Admiral Lee Daeho. Your weapons murdered my sister and her children on New Busan. You killed 2 million innocent people to send a message about Veltar strength. The alien's reply was full of hatred. Your species deserved extinction. We showed the galaxy what happens to weak races who try to expand beyond their proper place. Lee's voice remained calm. And we are showing the galaxy what happens to those who murder human families. The battle was brief. Kethmore's flagship was powerful, but it faced not just the New Busan but dozens of other human ships. The alien vessel's weapons blazed defiance for several minutes before its shields failed and its hull cracked. Major An led the boarding party that captured the surviving crew. They found Kethmore in his command center, wounded but alive. The alien commander looked like a giant lizard covered in military decorations. medals celebrating his victories over peaceful species. "You will be tried for the murder of 2 million human civilians," Major An told him as her Marines placed him in restraints. Kethmore's response was a snarl of alien words that the translators could not fully interpret, but the meaning was clear. He felt no guilt for what he had done. With their military destroyed and their leader captured, the remaining Veltar government finally surrendered. They agreed to pay reparations to human colonies and accept Federation oversight of their future military activities. Admiral Lee established what became known as the New Busan Protocols, a set of rules that would govern how humanity dealt with aggressive alien species. "Any government that attacks human civilians will face total war," he announced to the assembled alien ambassadors who had come to witness the Veltar surrender. "We are a peaceful species, but we will not allow our people to be murdered." The 500,000 ship fleet did not return to Earth immediately. Instead, it remained on patrol in the frontier sectors, a permanent reminder of what humanity could accomplish when forced to fight. Years later, a small memorial garden was planted in the ruins of New Busan's main city. Dr. Kim So-young's agricultural research had been recovered from hidden databanks, and her work lived on in new colonies across human space. Admiral Lee, now retired, tended a small wheat field beside the memorial. The golden grain grew tall and strong in the alien soil, just as Dr. Kim had dreamed. Commander Choi Min-ho, now an admiral himself, visited the memorial every year. He would stand quietly beside the wheat field, remembering the 2 million people who had died simply because they chose to farm instead of fight. "They wanted to grow food for hungry people," he would say to the visitors who came to pay their respects. "They never hurt anyone. They just wanted to live in peace." The memorial's inscription was simple. "Here lived 2 million good people. They grew food, raised families, and helped each other. They died because someone thought humans were too peaceful to fight back." They were wrong. In the years that followed, no alien species ever again attacked a human civilian colony. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity's peaceful nature was a choice, not a weakness. And when that choice was taken away, humans became the most dangerous warriors the galaxy had ever seen.